All set? Okay.
You don't hear those voices too?
All right, I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Weare Board of Firewards for April 18th, 2023 to order at 6:03 PM. I had put, we normally do election of officers in our April meeting first up. We have Mr. Nelson here before the board and Mr. Belanger as well, so if it's okay with the board, I'd like to go ahead and do that, and then we'll move right to the election of officers. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Nelson. Mr. Belanger, the floor is yours. Yep. Okay. You can go right to the podium there if you would, and
I just made some quick copies of the town's GIS for you, if you were familiar with it.
that's all right.
Well, thanks for having us. Mr. Nelson owns a piece of property up at the end of Emerson Turnpike. It's a private road, privately maintained. And we approached the planning board last month informally to talk about subdividing it. He wants to give a lot to his son, and what we had to go through to be able to get a building permit up there, so I could build a single-family home. And the planning board talked to us a bit about it, and the things we had to touch to get anywhere with it, and decided, first of all, we had to start with the Firewards, because being a private road and all, it's kind of up to you guys, I guess, to what goes forth from there. It's not a very large road, not maintained all that well. It's about 1,800 feet from River Road up to where the Nelson's lot actually is, the one they want to try to get to. And I guess that's where we are. It's just trying to get some direction from the board, the Firewards, about that. And then we still going to have to go get a variance to build on a road without any frontage, without it being a town road at all. It's not even Class 6. It's just a privately maintained private road.
That's it. Okay.
I can keep rambling.
I do have, I picked up a flow chart that talks about how you go about, this basically mentions Class 5 road, which I believe that, do you have any information on, because I know Class 6 roads, I believe there's a state statute that you have to get a variance from the selectmen. Is that correct, Naomi?
Either Class 6 or private, you
Or
have
private.
to start that flow chart that you have.
Yeah, yeah,
So what you have to do is.
You got a copy of that?
yeah.
It's a flow chart.
So that shows the process.
So your first question, John, says do you have a Class 5 road or better? The answer is yes, you go to the left, right, you go to
Yep.
the right. No, you go to the right. And then if it says no, you drop down, but it says owner must obtain a variance and does it have frontage on a plan approved by the board, which is no. So you hop diagonally to your left. So you're gonna get the variance and then you must get approval from the selectmen after comment by the planning board and conservation. Make sense?
Yeah, that does, yeah. But I
It's
believe,
whether it's private or Class 6. that's
yeah,
what it is.
when we were at the planning board meeting, about 3 weeks ago,
Mhm.
didn't they give us direction to come here?
Yeah,
I did. I did.
you said this was our first
I'm
step.
not, yeah, I'm not denying it.
Okay, all right, no, I want to make sure we're in the right place, that's all.
So,
I guess, the concerns they have, there's no pull-offs, there's no turnarounds, there's very
Yeah.
little going on up there.
yeah.
Must be some NFPA rules.
Yeah, so our authority and responsibility comes through NFPA 1 and access, and it has to do with emergency access. So we look at driveways, and so if it's a very short driveway and we had to operate in the street, that's not a problem. But once it gets longer, especially, is it I don't have it in front of me. Once it gets up around the 1,000 mark, then we need to have things in place so that if there is an emergency down that driveway, that we can get access to it.
Yeah, we did a subdivision on Lull Road. I actually talked to you guys about it probably 5 years ago now, where we had a common driveway, and I thought it was 400 feet, and you had to have a pull-off.
I don't have it in front of me.
Yep.
We actually adopted regulations for driveways several years ago, and the planning board has those regulations, and they're
Yep.
supposed to go with that.
Yep.
So, this being, the problem is that if you say, well, we'll make a driveway from the Class 5 road to here, if I'm just speaking for myself, trying to reason through this, then you run into issues with daisy chaining driveway to driveway to driveway, and here we are, then here we are.
Yeah.
So I know this is a hot issue everywhere, really, with older subdivisions and older roads and things like that, but,
Yeah, because there's 4 existing homes on it already,
yeah.
and we just want to extend it to the property, and so I could give my son a piece of land to build a home, a single home.
We're looking at probably the last 600 is pretty much unmaintained. You can drive it, but not most of the year. And that's the stretch that he needs to get up
Yeah.
to. But there's just about 1,200 feet till you get to that point, which is still just, privately maintained, poorly shaped road.
I mean, you could bring it up to a Class 5 road, right? I'm looking at the options here,
That's a lot of road.
yeah.
That's a lot of burden on one person for one house lot. You can't, you can afford to do it.
How big is that lot, Dave?
It's actually a 50-acre lot.
This piece out here, right at the end of that road?
Yes, and I'm actually going to give him the whole 50 acres to build his house. So we don't actually have to subdivide. Originally, I was gonna subdivide off 12 acres. Now I'm gonna give him the whole 50 because the planning board said it would be better if there was no subdivision involved. I was gonna give him 12 and I was gonna keep the rest, but instead, I'll give him the whole 50. He's gonna end up with it eventually anyway, so.
So our concern is the driveways usually, so I'm a little confused why they sent them here first.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
Me too.
And I apologize, I know that, usually in the past, our chief would, that we had, would try to get information for us before the meeting, but he retired, so, so I don't have, and I know he knew a lot of these things that I don't off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fine, I know.
So does this help you at all?
Well, yeah, it does. I didn't realize this existed, or this was the town's policy.
Yeah.
And we know we had to go to get a variance for, to pull a building permit.
Yeah.
We knew that. I was under the impression we had to come and talk to the fire department first to get some direction from them, then go to zoning. And if Dave has decided not, originally we were gonna subdivide that lot, we'd have to go back to the planning board. But instead, getting the subdivision off the table, we're just going to, need a building permit, and that's, I guess you get it through through a
Was that the
variance.
April 10th meeting that you were there?
No, I bet it was the one before that, maybe, Dave?
Yeah,
It
it
wasn't
was.
last week. it was-
Third? I just wanna see if there's anything in the minutes.
Yeah, it was,
No, that's, 3rd and 10th is one, selectmen.
Yeah, that's what I
He
mean.
didn't go to the selectmen.
not selected.
Oh, planning board.
Okay,
Planning
those
board.
minutes are enough, because he was just there.
it was informal,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it was maybe 3 weeks ago. Maybe, yeah.
So I think the idea was, at the time, the subdivision, has that changed since you left though?
Yeah, after the meeting, Dave decided just to take the
I
subdivision off the
think a good
table.
share of it is sitting back here, was because you were gonna subdivide. I
Yes.
think that was a good share of the issue. Because right now, it's all family over there, and they all have driveways. But now, when he's not looking to subdivide, I think that possibly is a game changer.
I think to make that
That's-
way easier.
Yeah, you,
Up
Yeah.
more, instead of subdividing.
Well, that's kind of where I'm thinking. They
You won't
said
need a
they had
variance.
subdivision in mind.
So, so this, which is the lot that we're looking at?
I think it's
This one here?
Next one.
No, where?
This one.
Oh, okay. So what's this piece of property?
That one actually moves back down to River Road.
Okay,
Oh, okay, is that like across from like
Yeah.
Jennifer Swain?
That one has frontage.
I would think so.
I know that, I know that statewide, the state has made legislation,
Oh, I'm
I
on the
believe.
complete wrong side of town.
There's been issues with access. In fact, we've had issues before with snow maintenance, et
This was-
cetera,
Yeah.
on,
On the south
on
end.
private and non-maintained roads, and so,
By like,
emergency situations
Yeah, that's
can
where I
arise,
think.
and then, you know,
and then there's, it looks like this
it can
lady
affect people's
that has the
life,
goats,
you know,
and I think it's that road.
so.
Cause that's Emerson.
So that's why we've adopted our driveway
Because,
regulations, but
Parker
that's pretty
Mullins
much
lives up
coming
here
off a
and
class 5 road.
Right,
Yeah,
that's the
here.
problem. This whole road is pretty much a driveway.
Yeah,
Here, it's this one.
It's not documented very well.
yeah.
I think way out back, like, I would imagine.
What's that?
The lot goes like pretty far back.
It rides the Dunbarton Town line,
I,
off down
That's
Dunbarton.
pretty, yeah,
So it's-
that's pretty far back.
So John, I was just telling Dave, I think the thought was the subdivision, because if you're taking 12 off of 50, that leaves 38. That's a fifth house on a private road, but what's the 38 gonna be? 38 acres, probably thinking cistern or something like that.
Yeah, I thought the big concern was the condition of the road. They did say that the subdivision, I think we'd have to get a variance for the subdivision as well as a variance for the building permit.
Right, and it's a double one, like he just said, so it
Correct.
drops one.
Yeah, and it just makes it easier just to get the subdivision up.
Condition of road's got to be passable, obviously.
Who's gonna set that bar? Who's gonna say?
So that usually is set, the zoning board's gonna give you about 6 conditions, that's a standard boilerplate they always use.
All right, so we should go to the
Just
zoning
apply
board.
for your variance,
Okay, all right,
that's my suggestion.
okay. Do we need to come back to see you?
I think only for the driveway, right?
They'll end up getting, so when you step down to the review and comment, we ship it around to everybody.
Okay,
So once you do your variance and then you come to the selectmen to do it, then we ask for everybody's input back to us.
so we go for the variance,
That's what I would,
and then once, if we get the
if
variance,
it's achievable, then you can go, yeah.
then you go to the selectmen to get permission? Is that how that works?
To get permission to upgrade, even though it's not ours, but it falls under the RSA.
Okay,
Someday it's gonna be ours.
yeah,
I'm thinking
maybe.
long beyond me.
Yeah.
So, or you or anybody else. Someday it's gonna be.
Okay, so we'll apply to the zoning board for a variance.
That would be my thought. So
So
that,
the
try
zoning-
to look there first, probably least expensive.
Okay.
Well, you probably already invested anyway.
Well, we stopped. We did stop working on it. Okay,
I didn't mean to take over.
No, that's fine. Are you all set
I
with
really,
us?
really think it was the subdivision that really messed them up.
yeah, I thought it was just the condition of the road.
But how did, yeah, how would they know if it did not there?
No.
Right, well, I think they jumped to the existing
Okay.
issue.
All right, so, thank you.
Sorry we couldn't be more help. Anybody want to look at this while it's out?
I do,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You're good. It's like all state, right there.
thank you.
All right, we'll move on to election of officers. And we might as well start with the chairperson. Any nominations for chairperson?
I nominate Steve Roberts.
Okay, we have one nomination. Is there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
Nope.
All right, seeing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? I'll abstain. Vice Chairman. Any nominations for Vice Chairman? I'll nominate Killian Donnelly.
I'll nominate Wayne Meady.
All right. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Do we want to do ballots?
I'm okay with voice voting.
Yeah, I'm good with voice.
It's up to the candidates, I guess, right?
I'm fine with a voice vote.
Okay.
Voice.
All right.
Just raise your hand.
Yep. All those for Killian?
Um,
Okay. All those for Wayne? Okay, Wayne has it. Just trying to give you some experience.
I know, but,
So,
yeah.
nice, nice. All right, so Wayne wins, hands up. I guess not hands down, but hands up. So, do you need the count on that? Okay. That's it, right?
No, you have manifest?
No, I mean for election of officers.
Yeah.
Swear, yeah, okay. All right, moving on. We have correspondence next.
Nothing other than stuff that we've talked about prior
I'm all
to.
set, I can look at it after.
Probably things that we're working on, the hand-tevi, which the pediatric, I guess you're gonna call it protocol thing. That was included in the budget. Captain Hood's working on that, finalizing the quote. As soon as she gets that. It looks like it may be a June to June contract instead of a January to January contract. So when she gets that straightened out, we'll have to bring it back, but, that's the only correspondence that was kinda hanging out there.
Okay. All right, we're under old business. Anything on the old business? New business.
I'll just wait for the chief's report, I guess.
Okay. Approval of minutes. Do we have any minutes yet? I don't have mine done
I
either.
haven't done, I just have
Okay.
to format them the way you always did, and that's what I
Okay.
wanna do, it's one big paragraph.
All right, I know you've
It's
been,
only transcribed them, I just have to divide it up.
okay. Then we go to manifest.
Sorry, still working.
All right, we'll come back to that. Administrative report.
Okay, we got quite a few things that we're trying to get finalized here. So Noah Brent was hired for the full-time position that was open. That will make the 8th position is full, so we're all full now. He started, I think he's worked about 4 shifts, so 3 weeks maybe. The body for the pickup is ordered, finally. We've been going back and forth with the vendor. It ended up, after beating him up and having him use a pencil instead of a pen, we're about $3,000 down from where we started. So it's, the contract was signed for $23,629. And they're still saying 20 to 24 weeks at this point. So the pickup is here, so kind of on standby until we can get the body on, and then we'll go from there. I've been working with 4 different vendors on the upfitting, light package, transferring the radio, siren, speaker, and all that stuff. That's still in kind of its infancy.
That's for the pickup still?
That's for the pickup,
Okay,
yeah.
Yep.
And then the lettering, I haven't even got that far yet, so. I know the person that we bought the ambulance from was interested in doing the lettering for us, so. I already spoke about the Hantevi, Captain Hood's working on that. So hopefully next month she'll have everything finalized from that. You okay, Naomi? I'm kinda going fast here. The overhead door openers, there's
I just
been,
have a question, it's a hand, it's
H-A,
like a hand tubby.
no, Hantevi, hand, T-E-V-Y,
And T-E-V-Y.
yeah.
I put a tubby, I don't know.
And
So she's working on that, so that's gonna be, probably next month, we'll have everything finalized for that, and it'll start at June 1st. There's been a problem with quite a few of the door openers, the remotes. The buttons stick in, we had overhead door look at them when they were there, they suggested replacing them, because of the age of them. Most of them came with the station when we built the station. We do have an open PO with overhead door, for a problem that they seem to have fixed with some WD-40. So my suggestion would be to spend the $707.22 and get all new remotes for all the doors. Complete, both stations, the south station and the center station. I have, a quote for that, for 7, and they put a sticky note on there for the additional 2, that's what made the $707.22. That money's already, PO'd upstairs. So,
Is that ours, or does that go with the building?
that's, well, that, we PO'd that money because we had a problem with the door. And,
So
That's last year's money, right?
yes, I believe it's,
22 money.
yeah, it's 22
Okay.
money.
is that buildings,
It was
though?
part of the building, part of the door project in December.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
We haven't touched the money yet.
okay, thanks.
And the door seems to be fine. That didn't include the springs, which we paid for already, so. So I guess we're looking to get the okay to spend that $707.22 for those.
So moved.
But you had an open PO though, right?
There's an open PO upstairs for,
Open, you just put it to the PO.
Yeah,
There you go.
and it's for the same
You can't
company, so,
overspend the PO. Okay.
right.
so we're good on that?
Yep.
Okay,
I purchased a couple of gas cans. We had plastic cans were just leaking everywhere, and so we purchased a couple gas cans. After the 2 recent fires we had, we discovered that everybody didn't have a hood to put on after they got back, and it was wet and washed, so we bought 6 more hoods. So everybody should have 2 now. If they don't have 2, let me know. Forestry gear, that stuff came in. We had a couple of sizing issues that the state's working on getting straightened out. That was grant funded 50%, and then 50% was encumbered from the 22 budget, so that should be all taken care of. I got the bill for it today, actually. So, we're just gonna, just work with Beth to get that paid for. During shift, they've been starting to do some water supply checks, cisterns and dry hydrants. Most of them are coming back, they need paint, and we're gonna get that started as soon as the weather kinda breaks and get that taken care of, as much as we can. A question that I had, and I meant to talk to Naomi about, is how do additional cisterns get on the list to be mowed? See, we've got 3 of them now that, 2 kind of in the works of being accepted, and 1 that should have been accepted already, which is Cortland. That one's a disaster, it hasn't been mowed or anything since it was put in.
The road hasn't been accepted either, because he's not done.
Okay,
And I don't think, I don't know what the intent is there, we didn't hear from anybody.
okay,
Winter came and went,
yep,
but that, he still owns that, we have nothing, he has not even attempted to finish the top.
Oh, so we haven't,
Turn it over to us.
we haven't accepted the cistern either? No, okay. All right, the other two are the one at the golf course,
Oh, Alpha Storage,
Alpha Storage.
Where was that first one?
The first one is Cortland,
114 subdivision.
114 below the station. And then we've got that one up there at the Alpha Storage is in the works, and then the one at Duck Pond Estates is, eventually they're gonna need to be mowed, and, so there's just a couple of other little small things. Wayne mentioned it tonight. There's the one at the school, looks like there's some roots in there. It's probably because we hadn't been putting bleach in them, over the last 8 years probably. So we'll probably start that up again, because, just to make sure that there's nothing growing in there. Over the winter, they did some ice rescue training, and two of the older suits, they get more water in them than outside of them. I called up to buy a couple. There's no ice rescue suits this side of the Mississippi. The guy that I talked to in Portsmouth told me that people from Midwest are calling looking for ice rescue suits. I've got two on reserve as soon as they start making them or get them this way. So we'll be ready for next winter. So the dry hydrant on Otterbrook below Langtot's on the bridge, snapped off during the big flood over the winter. So the pipe is just hanging there in midair. A couple of them on shift the other day walked down, kind of the upper part of Daniels Lake to see if they could see it, in the bottom of the lake. They walked down there quite a ways. They said they could not see it anywhere. So I don't know, maybe we could, kind of paddle the boat down there and see if we can see it, or, Amanda said something about maybe her kayak. If we can see it, it's not very deep, we can get it with an ice rescue suit, but, we gotta find it first. I'd like to get it put back together. We need about 8 feet of pipe and a couple of, connections, and then the strainer is the expensive part. That's either side of $500 for the cistern. I mean, the dry hydrant strainer. So just something to think about, I guess. Right now we can get in there with suction, but in the wintertime, it's nice to have that available.
How much of the pipe broke off with the strainer and
Yeah,
disappeared?
it's there,
Yeah.
down, and then the strainer and the piece of
How
pipe.
many feet of pipe is hooked to the strainer, any idea?
Well, it's probably 6 feet.
Is it plastic or steel?
It's plastic,
PVC.
PVC pipe.
You think the ice pushed it, or?
Or
Ice
the
or a
water.
tree.
Yeah, tree or
Okay,
limb, yes.
so we don't know how far it is then.
Yeah. Last time, it was only down there like 50 feet, and we was able to just go out there and grab it.
How's the visibility in the water there?
Oh, it's not bad now.
It's
yeah.
not like black?
It's not really deep now either.
Okay.
When they start putting the boards back in at the dam on the other end, it'll raise up a couple feet probably. So like I said, it's something to think about. We can get in there now if we have to, but by winter, you're gonna wanna really start thinking about getting that taken care of. The pages are ordered. They're telling me mid-May. They'll be here, or they'll be in Keene. And we'll have to get them programmed up, and we'll have them. I talked to Specialty Vehicles this afternoon, no word on the ambulance,
Not even a VIN?
not even a VIN. He's still delivering 2022s, so. He had 2 come in a month ago, and he had another 2 come in recently, so they're slowly coming this way, but there's still 22 chassis that were ordered in 21, so it's way behind. Everybody's way behind. Engine 5 pump shift, the air line was leaking, we messed around with it, and we got it so we thought it wasn't leaking, and then It started leaking again, and talked to Perkins. He recommended that we change it. He had some rebuilt ones. So he came up, I think it was last week, and replaced that. And so they used that to pump cisterns today and said it shifted fine, no air leaks. So that was a good thing. We're looking into changing some defective gauges in the Cascade system fill station. We've still got some money left in an open PO we'll be able to use that money for that. So we'll talk about that tomorrow night on who's gonna get the gauges headed this way.
What's the Cascade system?
That's with fill area bottles. And it brought to my attention over the last couple of fires where we've really used it a lot, where they said, well, this gauge is messed up, or this one's not working, so. They're not a cheap thing, but they're pretty important when you're moving air at that pressure. I kind of looked at the overtime budget today. Average, we're a couple $1,000s over, but that's, we were covering the shifts while we were waiting to hire the 8th person, so I think it'll wash out eventually. And so I say, yeah, it should be okay moving forward. You probably saw the capital dispatch bill, we paid that. It went up a little bit from the original price that we was gonna pay. The only other thing that's hanging out there is the full-time pay scale. Apparently that never got moved forward. So the full-time staff they've never moved on the scale. Wherever they started from, there was no, like, is it your anniversary date, or is it January 1, to move to the next step? So that's something that's gonna have to get looked at. And I didn't realize that wasn't happening until,
It was brought to your attention.
well, it was, not only that, I found it when I was like, does the pay scale move when the 5% pay increase that was voted at town meeting? So I
know, I
asked
think
Beth
that-
about that, and the full-time staff got the raise, but they never got moved forward on the scale either. So that's something that needs to be really looked at. How was that intended to be moved forward?
I thought we voted that in so that way it would start.
I would say it was an anniversary date thing, but.
Yeah, that was my impression.
Yeah, so. But apparently, according to Beth, it's never been like really moved so that happens.
So the 5% was the total, 5% increase would have increased your pool by 5%.
Right,
So then it's up to you guys to then do your reviews and your, your reviews and your steps.
Yeah, it was my impression that would be at least an annual thing, because the voted raises, there's no guarantee that that's in place, and so that was my impression of the pay scale. That's what, every employee in town should have one.
right.
As you progress in your job, gain experience, knowledge, education, it's only right that you move forward. And whatever is voted on by the town is not guaranteed, and generally that is somewhere around cost of living, usually not quite cost of living, so.
Probably a discussion with Beth first, and then, because she has the scale, and with all the positions on there, so. The only other thing that I wanted to let you know was we had a complaint from Ridgeview Road, that the parking lot light in front of the South Station is shining in their windows on Bridgeview Road. So Captain Hood was gonna call the electrician that put the light up to see if there was something that, if there was something they could put over it, or I didn't wanna put anything over it, not knowing and having it heat up and scorch the light or whatever. So she's working on that. We've met with the people there. They're just kinda bringing it to our attention that something was happening up there, so.
Usually shield on the top part of it.
Yeah, well, I was gonna have Pellerin take a look at it. He's the one that put it up, so she's supposed to, they're gonna do something with it. That's about all I had.
Any questions or comments for the chief's report? Okay, moving on. We'll go back to the manifest. Motion to accept the fire department's accounts payable manifest for checks dated 4/20/2023 in the amount of $110,446.64.
Second.
Is there any, motion's made and seconded, is there any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Motion carries. Is there any other business that we have before we go into non-public session? Okay, then, make a motion, we go into non-public session.
I will second that motion.
We did B, right? Yes, so under 91A:3, Roman numeral 1B.
I will second that.
Motion's made and seconded. So we gotta call the roll. Do you want the,
I'll take that page after.
okay. All right, so, Cushman,
Yes.
Herf, Huey,
Yeah.
Donnelly,
Yep.
Roberts, yes.
Yes.
Reedy, Richards.
We shut the light off.
Okay, we'll be going into non-public session. After non-public session, when we come out, we will immediately adjourn the meeting.